Pennsylvania. Now you have 5 minutes to our friend Tom Suozzi from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Swagel, thanks so much for your time today. So I was reading some of these materials. I don't know much about this stuff, but you've got about a $270 million budget. Is that right? No, I'm sorry, a $70 million budget, about 270 employees.
That's right, you got it.
$70 million budget, 270 employees. How many reports do you write a year?
So we do nearly 1,000 cost estimates and then dozens of reports.
And what are some of the biggest ones you've done over the past 5 years, let's say? What's like the big ones?
The big ones. On the cost estimate side, it would certainly be reconciliation. The Build Back Better that passed in the House was, I don't know, probably hundreds of pages. On the report side, there's things that we've done. I'm trying to think, like we have a report on hypersonic weapons, which is very long and very detailed, comprehensive. And I feel like it made a big impact because of the quality of that report.
And what about the tax bill? Would you say that, was there a report you did on that, the 2017 bill? I know that's more than 5 years ago.
We did a report in April of 2018. That was our analysis of the dynamic feedback of what we expected, the sort of changes in taxes affect the economy, feedback to revenues. That was back in April 2018, what we expected. It's something we're working on now and consulting with academic experts. I expect us to have more on that in the future, but that's an example of we did it, sort of almost in real time. We need to look back, and we are looking back.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea to address some of the concerns that the chairman is making, which is just look at some of the big reports that have done, especially those that are about projections. Mr. McClintock was talking about the projections and things before. Look at them over the past, whatever timeline you want to look at, 5 or 10 years, but especially the big reports, and then look back and say, how did we do? How did our projections compare to what actually happened? So that instead of, this becoming a partisan thing where people are saying, oh, we're just trying to stop you guys from doing what you do, and the other says, oh, they're just picking on you because they want to be. Let's just let's pick some important reports that have been done in the past, and let's compare your analysis that you did over the past couple of years on some of these big reports, and then compare it to how it actually turned out. And that would be a good learning lesson for you guys as to, why did things change? And we'll always, you're never going to be 100% right, obviously. But how'd you do? And there could be a debate about, why was it good? Why wasn't it good? As opposed to, I like an audit thing. I'm for all for auditing the actual office, like how you're spending your money and stuff. But the auditing the results may be a very bureaucratic, ineffectual thing to do. I think more of a, this is our big reports. Maybe the committee could pick some big reports and then say, okay, how did you do on this? And then you do an analysis like, this is how it turned out to be accurate. This is why it wasn't accurate. This is why it turned out to be accurate. This is why it turned out not to be accurate. Some things change in real time that change the results. And then that would be a good way to show how effective your agency's being. I think that might be a good idea. But, I think that the concern is that this, like everything else in Washington, D.C., is everything becomes politicized. And so, I know you've struck me as being a very serious person who's very dedicated to your craft, who wants to do the right, very smart, very diligent, wants to do the right thing. But like everybody, Democrats and Republicans, I get frustrated with the bureaucracy, and I get frustrated with the, well, just give me a direct answer. Can't you just tell me the direct answer? So let's set up a process to look at reports over the past 5 years or decade, whatever we want to pick, and pick some reports and say, okay, how did we do in our projections? And why did it come out the way it did versus what we projected, and why didn't it? I mean, that's what I think it might be a good idea. All right, thanks so much.
Well, I shouldn't use the balance of your time, Tom, but let me say I'm open to that. And I would suggest maybe my Democrat colleagues could find a handful of big reports that they've struggled with in terms of not playing out in a significant way, not a small way, in terms of what was projected and what the projected and the actual outcome. And then we can do 3 or 4 on this side and then dig in. And I agree with you. I'm not talking about auditing the results, but the inputs, the assumptions, the procedures, the tools, software, so that we know we have the best tools available. So, but I'm in agreement with you, Mr. Suozzi, on that.